The highest chute in the Andes was to Quelccaya Glacier in Peru at 5,700 meters. The crew are hoping to capture the first images of birds nesting inside a glacier.
We are packing up to go to the ice cap at last. We're heading up to Quelccaya after a week of acclimatising to the altitude. And we've got to hike about 5 hours and then we should be there. So it's exciting and slightly scary at the same time because we don't quite know what we're going to find when we get there.
Ahead of the crew, a team of scientists is already at the glacier looking for nests.
Oh, I'm out of breath already.
At this altitude, there's only half the oxygen compared to sea level.
I think I left my lungs down there.
Checking our pulses quite often and our oxygen levels just to sort of make sure we're not clinically dead.
193, 200, 215.
That can't be right.
With blood oxygen levels dangerously low, Glacier Camp is a welcome sight. This trip has been 9 months in the planning, and the crew still don't know if the science team has found any nests.
Good to have everybody together.
Yeah, so I've got to ask, what's the news?
We found fledglings, we found one nest building,
Yeah!
one with chicks.
Well, I don't know about you, my heart rate's just gone up a bit more.
Yeah.
It's very exciting.
With the promise of something to film, the crew settle into camp and prepare to spend their first oxygen-starved night in temperatures down to -10.
It's 7:30. I'm freezing cold. I'm brushing my teeth before the water freezes. Try not to spit in the vicinity of Pete's strange tent contraption. Night. Night, Pete. Sleep dreams. It's about 5:30, 6. Just woken up after a night of not really sleeping at all. You're kind of out of breath the whole night, as if you've just been doing loads of exercises.
But the real effort is just beginning, as the team hike to Quelccaya. The parent birds aren't around. Ice climber Koki has less than an hour to install a nest camera before they return from feeding in the valley below.
It's quite hard to watch. It just looks so precarious.
The glacier is melting fast and is unstable underfoot.
I'll be pleased when he's down. Let's put it that way.
Back on the ground, wires from the camera are connected to a filming hide.
So this is the moment of truth. Everything should be plugged in, ready to go. Oh. And there we have a view into a glacier bird's nest. Look at that! So you can see here, you can see the little bit of fluff on the two chicks. Brilliant, we've got a window into their little intimate lives when the parents come in to feed them, see how the chicks grow. What a privileged little view we've got.
This is the first ever footage of a glacier bird nest. But there is a chance the adults won't accept the camera. If they're too wary to enter the nest, the mission will have to be abandoned.
They just flew up, so they're 20, 25 meters.
But they're getting closer.
Okay, so I can see the bird. He's about 3-4 meters up to the right of the nest. She's checking it out. It's a new feature in her environment. Come on, be brave.
Yeah, she's in there. She's in there.
Now it's feeding?
Yeah.
flying out one out right past the camera.
With the birds accepting the camera, the hope is that the team will now discover exactly what goes on in the hidden nest.
Before this visit, all that was known about the nesting of this species was from 2 nests found the end of April in 2014. This activity is previously undocumented. It will help to build the story of why and when the birds are nesting on the ice.
Spencer was part of the original team that discovered the birds' unique behavior. His search for new nests even takes him underneath the glacier.
It's a little nerve-wracking being under here with a lot of ice over me that I know is melting and actively moving. It starts to creak, run.
Science runs in Spencer's family. His father, Doug, has been studying Kelkaya for years. Since 1980, the glacier has shrunk by around a third.
Whether Kelkaya is here in 20 years, 50 years, or 100 years is pretty difficult to speculate, especially given increasing rate at which we're changing the atmosphere. It's a little bit of a race against time, trying to salvage and understand what's going on in these ice caps while they're still here.
Back in the hide, there is some good news.
So after a week of waiting, we've finally seen one of the chicks fledge, which is very exciting. And now there's one chick left, looking a bit.
His home will not last much longer.
Come on, little fella. Looks like it's not really quite ready to take the plunge. Coming up. Coming up to yours, Matthew. Oh, he's put back in his nest. He's just not up for it.
Oh, chick's flying, chick's flying.
Melting away little by little around the nest. And one day, the nest is going to fall and slide down this cliff face, and luckily they managed to fledge before that happened. So, yeah, good luck to them in this really harsh environment. Which is too harsh for me. I'm going to go down the mountain and get...
Time for school in the highest village in the Himalaya. But these pupils have no ordinary school run. For those who live in the Himalaya, every day is extraordinary. This is the mountain range of the greatest extremes. The weather harsher, mountains higher, gorges deeper than anywhere else in the world. To survive here, the only option is to face these daily extremes head on. Only then can you carve out a life on the roof of the world. Sometimes, in making the Mountains series, the film crew was most surprised by how mountains affect the people they met. Filming Mira Rai, the marathon runner, showed more than anything the impact mountain life can have. It quickly becomes clear how well adapted Mira is to the extreme altitude during the walk-in to the start of the marathon race. It's a 10-day trek to Everest Base Camp. As they climb higher, in every breath there's less oxygen. By 4,000 meters, there's already a third less than at sea level.
walking at this altitude. You take 2 steps and you're like, oh, I'm very tired, very out of breath. I've kind of lost track of how many days it's taken us to get this far. You may notice that Mira is not out of breath.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Mira has 50% more hemoglobin in her blood, so she feels fine. She's even got the energy to make her own film.
Hi, Alex. How are you? On the mountain. Wow, beautiful. How do you feel?
Me?
Yeah.
I feel very tired.
Really?
Yeah. How do you feel?
For me, it's very well.
You feel
And
yeah?
yes.
Do you like going uphill?
Yes, I like going up the hill.
Why?
Without any roads in these mountains, everything has to be moved by either pack animal or by hand. The 300 kilos of BBC equipment is carried up by 6 yaks.
Here's the rest of our camera kit. Luckily, we don't have to carry this stuff. Nima, do you think it's okay to hold some people once this lot come through? Yeah, just hold them there, that'll be great. This is getting heavy. Good.
But keeping up with Mira on her daily training is tough. Each day, the crew's bodies make more and more red blood cells, slowly enabling them to acclimatize. Mira is always a step ahead. The secret to Mira's sporting success lies in her upbringing. She was born and bred in the mountains, and her ancestors have lived at high altitude for at least 3,000 years. Her family home is a village in eastern Nepal. There's no electricity or running water, and it's a day's trek to the nearest shop. It's a life of hard physical labor. To collect water, the community must climb down to a spring 400 meters down the mountain. Mira's been doing it since she was just 5 years old.
अनि यहीँको पानी खानु पर्थ्यो अनि बिहान उठ्नु बित्तिकै पानी लिन आउने अनि दिनमा मेरो विचारमा 3-4 चोटि चाहिँ आउनु पर्थ्यो सानो अलिक सानो भाडा थियो अनि
Living at altitude fine-tunes the body, making wider arteries, more capillaries, and bigger lungs. But mountain life was also her biggest obstacle. Like many women in rural Nepal, she was destined to a life of housework.
अर्को कुरा अब हाम्रो चलन छ हैन हामीलाई चाहिँ लेडिज जुन दाउरा घाँस अनि त्यहाँदेखि घरको अब बाहिर जाडीकिरेको त्यस्तो हुन्थ्यो तर मेरो मौ बाबा
But her mother dreamed of a better future for her daughter.
चाहिँ त्यस्तो बाटो चाहिँ हैन तिमी जे चाहन्छौ हैन राम्रो काम गर नराम्रो नगर भनेर उहाँले चाहिँ एकदम फ्रीडम छोड्दिनु भयो अनि म
Aged 14, Mira left home looking for adventure. She ended up in the capital of Nepal, Kathmandu. It was here, in a forest on the edge of the city, that she entered her first ever race. 50 kilometers long. She'd never run such a distance before in her life.
टी-सर्ट र ट्राउजर लगाएर अनि सुज एकदम सिम्पल एकदम 2-4 सयको थियो अनि के भने एउटा त्यो जुत्ता चाहिँ घोटेर दुलै पर्यो अनि फोका नै उठेछ अनि
But she didn't just complete the race, she won it. From that day on, Mira went on to win race after race across Nepal. There is just one race she has yet to attempt. The Everest Marathon. And the exhausted film crew has finally reached the start.
Are you ready, Mira?
Yes, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Good luck, Mira.
Ah, yes, thank you.
In just a few years, Mira has gone from a tough life in her remote mountain home to the biggest sports star in Nepal. Winning every race there is in the country. Now, she also trains children from other mountain villages, helping them to become athletes.
आउने जुन भाइ बहिनीहरू जस्तै म जति पनि हुनुहुन्छ उहाँहरू बिकट ठाउँमा बस्नुहुने भाइ बहिनीहरूले चाहिँ के अब यस्तै रनिङ गर्न चाहनुहुन्छ भने उहाँहरूलाई चाहिँ म आफूले जानेको कुराहरू सिकेको कुराहरू चाहिँ बाँड्न चाहन्छु.
Since Mira started, the number of girls signing up to racing equals that of boys, for the first time. For those born in these mountains, there are many obstacles in life, but they are also the perfect training grounds for success. Next time, the longest mountain range on the planet is full of extraordinary hidden worlds and even more extraordinary animals with the most surprising lives. The Andes.
If there's something on your mind, we may have the answer. The Secret Helpers are here next, and their advice is free. Then at 9, the life of fashion designer Gianni Versace is unravelling fast. An American crime story that's out of control.
Almost everybody in this country has been touched by the conflict that has affected Colombia for decades.
De alguna manera sí. Pienso que sí porque ha sido un flagelo que nos ha tocado a todos, directa o indirectamente.
How are you involved with or affected by the conflict?
De una manera pertenecí a las FARC.
Lena got involved with FARC after falling in love with a guerrilla fighter. But their relationship lasted just 2 years.
Se desapareció, no se supo más de él.
Do you know what happened to him?
Hasta el día de hoy no se sabe si lo mataron, lo desaparecieron, no se sabe si está vivo, muerto. Y no volvió a aparecer.
Lena and her boyfriend had tried to leave the FARC. The group's punishment for desertion was often death. Lena's partner was one of an estimated 100,000 Colombians who have vanished without a trace during the conflict. At the hands of the guerrillas, many of the right-wing paramilitary groups have mutated into criminal gangs. They're now a major source of human rights abuses and violence across Colombia, fighting over drugs, land, and another massive source of illegal revenue, gold.
Gracias.
I was off on a mission with the Colombian army.
Just look down there, it's so remote and so rugged, it's incredibly hard for the authorities to control these areas of the country and operate in. Colonel, how serious a problem is illegal gold mining?
La minería es mucho más rentable que fenómenos como el narcotráfico. Produce muchísimo dinero, se llama una estrategia de acciones coordinadas que nos permiten atacar seriamente este flagelo.
The army formed this anti-illegal gold mining brigade to tackle what's been called a national emergency. There are an estimated 17,000 illegals that are believed to earn nearly £2 billion a year from the trade. Colonel Luque's squad was on a mission to destroy an illegal mining complex in a remote region near the Caribbean coast.
They come in with their weapons ready because they're not sure what sort of reaction they're going to get from the people who are mining or the gangs controlling it. We're going to go for them now.
There was no sign of the armed gangs that run the mine, but the soldiers had nabbed some local men working at the site.
Ahorita estamos haciendo el proceso de legalización de las capturas.
Colonel, who are these people?
Entonces estos civiles van a ser judicializados por el delito del daño ambiental y por la explotación de los minerales de manera ilícita.
The miners pollute rivers with mercury they use to extract the gold and clear huge areas of forest. Illegal gold mining is actually one of the main drivers of deforestation in Colombia.
Ellos van a hacer el trabajo aquí de la instalación de las cargas y la explosión.
Colonel Luque and his men move fast before there's any chance of a counterattack.
Apenas esté lista la máquina para destruir, yo le informo.
Okay. Pasan. Gracias.
Hágale, hacia allá, rápido, agilicen.
So they're asking us to clear the area because they're going to blow up the equipment. Apparently the reason they need to blow them up is because if they try to take these diggers out, the armed gangs who have owned them up to now could fight them to take them back.
Fuego. Fuego.
Bloody hell. Incoming. Bloody hell. Yeah, a huge bit of the digger flew into the air and landed just 20 feet from us, I would say.
Around 80% of gold production in Colombia is illegal. It's a growing problem across South America. There are thought to be perhaps 50,000 people working on illegal mines in Colombia, and more than 70,000 in the Brazilian Amazon.
The gangs behind this are fantastically rich and fantastically dangerous. They have enormous resources. They can move, an expensive pump, very expensive diggers into the middle of nowhere and strip it bare. and they will battle and fight to protect that.
The problems facing Colombia can sometimes feel overwhelming. Drugs, conflict, guerrillas, gangs, even illegal gold mining.